Hi folks, hello again. Yeah, just to run through a very similar story to Alistair just presented there. We face a very similar problem. Good to know it's not unique to us. And it's a very typical problem when you're trying to marry up different processes, a lot of paper-based approaches and reliance on paper-based records. We have a situation where the discharge summary back to the GP could have been handwritten or typed up ad hoc, so there was no consistency, no standardisation around that. Difficult to decipher on behalf of the GP. Each trust had their own way of doing things, their own templates, so that obviously presented a problem as well. This reliance on paper, and it's very, very hard to move people away from paper because they've got it working as slick as they can. But with that, you lose the ability to do that analysis and the benefits that come downstream from having this digitised. So very, very similar problem to what we've just heard. So the solution to that was, in terms of the communication in from the primary care sector, as with Alistair, we have the emergency care summary. At this stage, we're not actually bringing in the DM&D codes, we're bringing in the medications in text format, but we have that coming through. So that would come through into the secondary care setting at the admission process and go through the reconciliation process, which then feeds into the discharge summary and through our electronic document transfer process that gets transmitted back to the GP. To enable that, we introduced problem list, which has all our diagnoses, allergies, alerts, and so on, which helps in the medicine reconciliation process and feed into the discharge summary at the other end as well. So all sounds really simple. So why has this prematurely aged Aaron, myself, Gavin O'Prey back in our team? The answer is equally simple, one word: pharmacists. No, no. Implementing any change, I guess, to processes is difficult. It is challenging. We had a reasonably large group of clinicians, particularly pharmacists, on our group, and they all come from different perspectives with different angles. One of the trusts already had a medicines reconciliation process. Another one of the trusts had a discharge summary process, and it's very hard to wrestle that away from folk when they already have a solution that they feel is working for them. But what we had to try to keep doing was reinforcing the point: this is a regional solution. It brings benefits to the whole system, not just for you. But by the same token, we had to at least aim to give them something as good as what they currently had. So that was another part of the challenge. There were other technical challenges and design challenges that we had to come through. But what the stage we've reached is we have the problem list rolled out. We have agreed the reconciliation process. We've got that agreement with the trusts. The IDL or IDS document is incorporating the GAIN or PRSB standard or guidance, and we have commenced a live trial with the medicines rec or medicines management piece, although the real benefit and the real uptake of that won't really come into force until we get the IDS piece out there as well. Just a view of what some of this looks like. This is the typical. There's different stages to the forms. Obviously, it's just a shot of the admission sort of stage. Some of the things are with up at the top with the known allergies and so on. With the problem list, we've got all of that information there, so that's all available on the same screen as you're doing the medicines rec piece. You can have multiple review types along the process, right through from the admission stage to the discharge stage. As I say, the medications that we are importing in from the ECS doesn't have the DM&D codes. So we've gone through a process of any medications that have been prescribed over the last year. We have codified 90% of the top 6,000 of those drugs and about 60% of the rest, until such times as we enable the DMD codes coming in as well, because we needed that codification piece for the downstream elements. The ECS feed then constructs the medication history coming through. Some of our pharmacists wanted additional functionality or other aspects, just as double checks and so on. So this is an example of one of those types of changes where they wanted to be able to see what has happened previously, what at the import stage, for example, what medications were inactive or dismissed at that stage. So that we had to incorporate those things as we went along. Probably it's a balance thing again, trying to get the right, to encourage people to use it. How far do you go with that flexibility? So some of these things we give on, and some of them we had to sort of resist and say, no, sorry, we just can't do that, or that's not the route we want to go. Wisdom of Solomon needed sometimes in that one, but we got there. So the to-do list is we have the IDS form developed, we have that agreed. That's currently with Orion in development stage at the moment. We hope to have that rolled out very shortly. And that's where it'll really start to become useful, and the users will see the benefit out the other end. We'll run a 3-month pilot with the whole end-to-end process, because again, a lot of the challenges or concerns that our user base are coming up with might disappear, or they might take a different shape once they actually start to use it and they understand the process a little bit better. So whilst it's on paper at the moment, all these problems seem bigger than what they might be. So we'll then take feedback after that 3-month pilot process, and then look at how we put this out wider across the system. Be interesting just to get a lot of the learning that you've come through there as well, Alistair. So that's we're probably a year behind your implementation, so that's hopefully inspires us to know where we're going with it, and maybe by this time next year we'll be able to present similar successes. Okay, so thank you again.